Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Plays Doki Doki Literature Club Side Stories. Okay, so we've gone through the first one, and now it's time for Understanding, which I'm very excited for because, of course, it features Sayori, but also because Yuri hasn't gotten much focus in this playthrough since the very beginning when I knew nothing about this game. And I feel like the whole journey that I've gone through, these like 20 plus episodes, has changed my perspective about everyone, and I've gotten chances to revise my thoughts on all of them, but Yuri less so. And I am most curious to see how she is different as a result of not being affected by the elements of the main game, especially Anime Brady. I'm most curious to see how she is without him. Because here's the thing, Monica meddling with the other girls, she took existing elements and raised them to the catastrophic levels. Anime Brady just has like a wrecking ball effect on everyone he comes into contact with and brings things out of them that might not otherwise be there. So I'm kind of curious. And I also feel like we only just got barely a few crumbs of Sayori-Yuri interaction in the main game. We never got to see them as a pair, so I'm very excited for this. So let's do it. Part 1, Understanding. The club meeting is suddenly interrupted by the sound of the door, causing Monica and Sayori to turn their heads. The door opens halfway, then stops. A face peeks inside. A face that seems familiar. Oh. I love the new arrangements and new soundtrack as a part of the side stories. I just know that I'm going on a feels trip. I don't know exactly what kinds of feelings I'm going to have. Probably some happy and some sad, which of course combine into the best feeling of them all. Oh. Sayori's eyes widen, recognizing the girl. She very conspicuously mouths to Monica, "It's her! It's the girl!" It's true. The girl standing in the doorway is none other than the girl Sayori had come across reading alone in a classroom. Thanks to Monica leaving a flyer on her desk, it seems she's found a way to the club. Are you here for the literature club, by any chance? Am I in the wrong place? No, you're not. This is the literature club. Please, come inside. The girl fully steps in the door, but continues standing against the wall, avoiding eye contact. Sayori continues to fail containing her excitement. I cannot wait to see what the confluence of their energies is like. Sayori's energy drives externally, like out into the world, in a sense. And Yuri, like she's quiet, sort of thinking type. And that energy seeps out occasionally when she gets really excited and can't contain it. But most of her energy kind of drives inward. So I wonder how they might push and pull on each other. It's happening. Oh my gosh. Thanks so much for coming. Sorry, it's a little empty. I'm Monica, and this is Sayori, and we run the literature club, even though it's just us so far. But what's your name, by the way? I'd like to join your club. Already? Wait, really? Are you sure? I mean, I should be good enough. Everyone is welcome here. You don't have to be good enough. Look at this. Everybody just engaging so positively with each other. And an immediate desire to make each other feel safe and welcomed in each other's company. No sly comments on the side like, oh, you should really be mindful around sharp things with her. None of that shit. We're past it. Oh, I love it so much. Oh, do you want to have a seat? We'd love to get to know you. The girl nods, sliding over to a nearby desk and gently sitting down. So what's your name? Yuri. I'm Sayori, and this is Monica. Sayori, nice to meet you. Do you like fantasy? Like books? Yuri looks at Monica. Fantasy's cool. Yes, have you heard of Annabella Dupont? Look at the way that she lights up. Also, she immediately sort of skipped over Sayori, which I am glad that they're being paired up because, yeah, Sayori isn't, to my knowledge, much of the fiction reader. We didn't hear much of her interest in that category, but these two are the categorical opposites in terms of Sayori likes the simple emotional words, and Yuri likes the complicated ones with lots of syllables. I'm kind of eager to see what their opinions of each other are. It's just funny. She completely skipped over her, though. I can't say I have. Oh, well, she's my favorite author. I'm on her 5th book, and it's just... Yuri grins and presses her knuckles against her cheeks. Enjoy. That's gotta be the thumbnail. Hold on. You can borrow my books. I wouldn't mind. You're really in for an incredible experience. Monica stammers, caught completely off guard by Yuri taking control of the conversation. She glances sideways at Sayori, silently asking for help. She really does make a very strong first impression. I feel like I don't make a very good first impression. And so it's actually like kind of interesting when I encounter someone who, right when you meet them, you get enough of their like real character to kind of at least understand a little bit about them. I think I make a better second impression, to be honest. The amount of times that someone has told me, you know, Brady, I really wasn't sure about you, or sometimes I actively disliked you when I first met you. I would say that is the majority of people's reflections on what it was like to meet me. And I don't really know what that's down to, because I'm not the one getting the impression. And maybe you can tell me what you thought the first time you watched this channel or something. And if those opinions changed as you watched 2 videos or whatever. But I get a lot of like, you seemed kind of like a square, or like, you know, in my professional world, a little too by the book, or I don't know, a little too cleaned up. And then I tell them, yeah, go look at my YouTube channel. I'm a fucking a vulgar degenerate. Or what I would get a lot also, and sometimes still do, is like, oh, I thought you were really arrogant when I met you. I think when I give a strong opinion really quickly, it makes it seem like I'm going to be really argumentative of that. And yeah, no, I'm usually pretty open to like, if not updating my opinion, completely discarding it if I hear something better when it comes to things that are like contentious. So I don't know. I admire this about Yuri. Like, she, in some ways, isn't like trying to appear sophisticated. She just is sophisticated. I think she has an immediate sense of sophistication and self-sureness about certain things, like her interests and standards for writing and that sort of thing. Some insecurities about more personal stuff, but those things hold up under like second impression and when you spend more time with her. And you can tell it's having an effect on the 2 others here with how much they're like sort of silently communicating, which I love, by the way, because we now know that they're quite close after the last side stories, that they can have these little moments together. I'd love to. It sounds like you're really into them, so they must be great. Oh, what a nice thing to say. I'm so happy I found this club. Oh, I'm so stupid. I left all my other books in my locker. I should have brought them. Yuri quickly stands up. I'll be right back. I'll go get them for you. You probably only need to bring 1 for now. Sayori nervously says that, noting to herself the considerable heftiness of the book that Yuri set down on her desk. True. Okay, I'll go get the first one then. Yuri exits the club room in a flash, leaving Monica and Sayori silently exchanging glances. Oh my God. I wasn't prepared for this. How do I handle someone so intense? I have like no experience with fantasy, except maybe stuff that I read when I was a kid, but it's probably like a joke compared to what she's into. I'm sure it'll be fine. In fact, I think it's neat that we have different people who are into different kinds of literature. It'll be fun to learn from each other. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but what if this is her only interest? Doesn't it kind of seem like that? Ooh, Monica is falling into a pretty narrow first impression of Yuri. It's hard for me to relate at this moment because we do know a lot about her already. Don't be so prejudgmental, Monica. She's got layers. Monica, don't you think you should be more optimistic? We have a new club member. There shouldn't be room for anything but being happy. I'm excited to get to know her more. Aren't you? Yeah, I guess you're right. Sorry for being so hasty. I just get really anxious all of a sudden. And I don't think it's being prejudgmental as like a negative thing on Monica's character. It seems more for her like wants to come off as a good leader, wants to have structure to the club, wants to have a purpose, a vision like she talked about, and she's not quite sure how Yuri's going to fit into that. It's because you're afraid of not being able to take the lead. Damn. Fucking... What? Sayori, what are you saying? That's fucking ice cold and correct. What the heck? It's kind of scary how you can point out things out like that, Sayori. I just like learning what makes people happy or sad. You know, maybe it's not all that complicated, folks. You don't need degrees, you don't need education. You just need to think like Sayori. What makes people happy or sad? Then you'll be able to clock characters easy. Yeah. Hey, you know what? You'd probably be great at helping Yuri feel comfortable here. Maybe you could take a break from helping me with the administrative stuff and just focus on spending some time with her. Yay! That's exactly what I want to do. Besides, Sayori lowers her voice. They're gonna need all the time I can get. She taps her finger against the dauntingly chunky book Yuri left sitting on the desk. Right afterwards, the door opens to reveal Yuri's return. I'm back. Her breath is slightly heavy, which, combined with her short time gone, indicates that she may have ran at least part of the way. She makes her way back over to Sayori and sets the book down on her desk. Just as Sayori feared, the book Yuri brought for her is just about equal in size to the one already on Yuri's desk. Well, there are probably a few things you should know before getting started on it. There's some things that are more explained in other books that take place in the same universe, so going over those would be good to keep you from getting confused at the start. Sayori nervously interjects. Well, I was thinking that maybe today we could just get to know each other a little bit more. You know, I think like if we're going to be reading together, then I would like that. From across the room, Monica smiles and nods at Sayori while Yuri isn't looking. Oh, okay. Yuri sits down, then looks at her book, then glances around the room, showing no indication that she has anything more to add. So, I'm going to speak way outside of my scope of competence for a moment. I think there might be some neurodivergence with Yuri. This is a subject that I am in no way an expert or would even categorize myself as having a professional opinion on. But I kind of wonder if there's like a neurodivergent quality to Yuri. There's a couple of behaviors that I'm familiar with that make me lean in that direction, which are the hyperfixations, yes, but more so like the immediate transitive property of those hyperfixations that like Sayori showed some level of like curiosity about it. For Sayori, this was like the objective was, I want to make this new person feel welcome in the club. Yuri took that as immediately like, oh, she has an interest in this. My interest is like this big, so I'm just going to give her everything all at once. So there's a hyperfixation element to that, but also like a social misreading. Not a huge one. I think it's like kind of cool that she just wants, you know, Sayori to get involved. But at her reaction, Yuri also is having like kind of a bit of a shutdown, whereas like what you might expect from an interaction like this is some kind of explanation and verification that there was a social misreading. Like, oh, I see that like you weren't interested in all of it. You just wanted this one book. Like we will usually catch the other person up to make sure that we're on the same page. Whereas she has just sort of stopped because like maybe she's not understanding or the conversation is done. The expediency with which she left the room and came back like sprinting, maybe over intensifying what the expectation of her was. Like, well, they told me or inferred that I should go get these other books. And there's like a kind of urgency to it, even though there really isn't. So there's like little details of the social context that she's not picking up on which make me wonder, if there's an element of neurodivergence to that. Like I said, this is really not my area. I don't know a ton about it, so I don't want to speak out of, my own competence. I've come across it in my clinical work. I, know some basics about kind of how to handle it, but I don't know a ton about diagnosing or extensively about treatment. I'm also generally skeptical of the classification of it as a disorder. I don't really like that side of mental health pathology in general, but especially for something like this, because these are always considered deficits. Like, yes, neurologically, the way that autism can develop is a deviation from the norm. That's literally why the term is neurodivergence, deviation from neurotypical, whatever. But yeah, there's a ton of stigma around it, obviously, in the general public, but also I think in the mental health world. So it's, kind of a complex subject. I'm kind of just going off vibes, to be honest, right now. So take my professional cap off. I'm just getting that vibe. So what made you decide you wanted to join the club? Well, I like reading, so I was immediately interested. I had no idea that someone was starting a literature club, but that's my fault. Since I haven't been paying attention to any of the club recruitment advertisements, I only found out because Yuri glances over at Monica. Monica came into my classroom and put her flyer on my desk. Suddenly, Yuri's face darkens, and she shakes her head at herself. I was so stupid. I got too nervous, and I couldn't even look up. So she just walked out. It took me several days just to come here because I was afraid that Monica told everyone how inconsiderate I was, but I decided that was probably irrational. Wait. No, that was totally my fault. I felt so bad about interrupting you that I just, walked out. See, that is exactly what I was talking about. Monica came in to qualify her social misreading. Yuri's reaction was to immediately internalize it and mostly just to take it upon herself, which that wouldn't immediately indicate neurodivergence. Sometimes that's just the way that people deal with things, but it's just a combination of a couple of things. I was actually really hoping that you would come by. Yuri exhales in relief. Well, and those kinds of explanations are really helpful for people who might struggle with kind of getting that context immediately. And the reason it does help, this I actually can speak on with some confidence, actually has to do with some neuroscience, which if I'm starting to lean into this as my formation of Yuri, which again, I'm a little hesitant to do so because I don't know how much I can really speak on it. Fuck it, I'm just gonna go forward with it. Partially just because I think this is interesting, and I do think it is really part of what's going on as well. There's a tiny part of the brain called the LHB, which is the lateral habenula. And its job is to stop you from engaging in behaviors that cause you discomfort. So it's deeply connected to social learning and how we develop a sense of expectation about getting to know people and what works and what doesn't. Part of what it does is it actually suppresses dopamine to other parts of the brain, and so, which is to disincentivize us from pursuing behaviors that seem to cause us harm from its understanding, right? And so this is also impacting depression. If I'm depressed and fatigued and getting out of bed or going into a public situation is really stressful for me, even though those things could have secondary positive benefits to me, like getting out in the sun and socializing, the level of stress that getting out of bed and going outside will often override any of that production of the pleasure hormones that incentivize me to do more of that stuff. And this will code those behaviors as unpleasant, and it actively signals the brain not to do them. So this is confusing for a lot of people who look at someone who's depressed and they're like, oh, well, why don't they just start doing things that would make them happy? Like, let's say Sayori. Well, there actually may be some issues with this that disincentivize what are potentially positive behaviors or positive life experiences that could add meaning and value. But when there is a neurological stopgap that prevents the brain from enjoying things because it is feeling more stressed about doing them, this disincentivizes that behavior and it stops us from acting in our own best interest a lot of the times. So Yuri has had likely a number of experiences where she has sort of tried to be more direct, I guess, with certain things, or even the idea of just like asking someone to explain themselves or repeat themselves or to give context. Like that's already coded as such an unpleasant thing that this stops us from acting. And so she just sort of like runs away or retreats or does something else that's like more preventative to the stress she'd get from acting more directly. And so my guess with neurodivergence is that this is probably playing some kind of role in what seem to be like difficulty socializing and communicating and acting in sort of normative ways, because we all have this part of our brain and it disincentivizes unpleasant behaviors when we learn that they don't work, but it may be hyperactive or affected in some other way that like disincentivizes behaviors that could lead to more social learning and adaptability. Or I could be totally wrong on all that. I always seem to interpret things as the worst possible scenario. Well, I was really nervous to come here for some other reasons too. Well, and to come back to my original point, why I brought the whole thing up, that's why explaining things, to someone who might have neurodivergence or just difficulty with the social contextualizing is really helpful, because you're reintegrating a positive reaction to the person for seeking that information out, and like you're teaching the LHB that this was not an unpleasant thing and that the person is capable of actually understanding. It's just that there was some behavioral and emotional inhibition to it. The reason I know this is because when dealing with deep depression, all the way to like what's called anhedonia, where someone is basically completely incapable of experiencing any kind of pleasure anymore, this LHB thing is at kind of the center of that, where even the smallest ask of a person, like any kind of demand load, causes, this part of the brain to inhibit any forward momentum. And so you want to validate that behaviors that move towards having good experiences and pleasure and all this are good for us. And so to help repair the brain's ability to feel pleasure, you can't overstimulate it. You can't put too much of an ask for someone to change, because the LHB is not really used to that. And I'll kind of touch on the thinking behind that as we go. Well, I was really nervous to come here for other reasons too, such as there being too many people. Not that I mind that much, but I have a really hard time having to meet a large number of new people at once. So it's actually amazing that it's just the two of you. I definitely came at the right time. Oh, that makes me happy. I'm proud of you for working up the courage to come. How beautiful is her soul to tell someone she just met that she's proud of her. Which you absolutely can do and should do more often, by the way. I don't think you need a deep connection with someone to say that you're proud of them. I'm proud of people I haven't even met, and people that I only have just the vaguest understanding that they exist some in the world but have no other relationship with them. For example, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for watching this channel and being curious to learn things about mental health and how to be good to yourself, and doing so in a way that's fun and informative and entertaining. And I'm proud of you for sharing those thoughts in the comments if you do. And I'm also proud of you for just keeping a little space in your heart for them if you don't. I am proud of you. Yuri smiles warmly to herself. I've never really had the privilege of sharing my interests with others before. It's so hard to find others who are into the same things as I am, except online. So I thought the literature club would provide a chance for me to do that. What kinds of things are you into? Like, genres? I don't know, just anything. Even if it's not literature. Oh, and just things you would think are dumb. Sayori pauses, a look of concern on her face. How about, I'll tell you something I'm into, and you can tell me about something you're into. I suppose that'd be okay. Okay. Well, I'm pretty into, like, crafty things. Like making cute little collages or decorating things. Like cards or jewelry boxes. My room's always cluttered with random stuff because I keep buying things to make gifts for my friends. But then I put it all off until the last minute. Something similar is probably going on with Sayori, where there's this negative feedback loop between, like, her place gets cluttered. She knows that it would be good for her to clean it up, but the more stuff that there is, and the longer this goes on, which is just kind of her life, the bigger the task, the bigger the ask on her for energy and motivation. But the behaviors to do those things are disincentivized because dopamine and serotonin are being blocked by this like little LHB part of the brain that's inhibiting those things. And so we don't do them. We procrastinate them, but cognitively we look at it and we're like, oh, I'm such a failure. I'm like not doing this. And then you get the like sort of negative self-reflection aspects of it because you're telling yourself it's just about willpower and values, which values are a big part of it. Like you might value a clean space, but your brain is, there's like some things that aren't working totally correctly. That's not your fault. That's not like this person doesn't care about their environment. Like they probably do care, but there's some really deep stuff going on in their mind that makes it very hard to just have the physical and mental energy to do big things, which at this point in a depressive state, you know, as Sayori is on the fringes of or in actively, things that seem simple to someone else who's LHB is working just fine, they seem like small things. But for her, it's come to a point where there is no reward given mentally for doing something that's actually in her best interest, like cleaning. So actually something going on with both of them, but different effects, really, affecting different things. So yeah, that's something kind of silly that I'm into. You sound quite creative. Not that much. It's just that you'd be surprised by how much you can do with scissors and glue and stuff. Oh, wait a second. Is she going to like learn arts and crafts from her? That would be so amazing because I'm thinking back to like when Anime Brady went home with her for the weekend and we were going to make some stuff. We had ribbons and things. And maybe she learned that from Sayori. Oh, that'd be wonderful. So I have to share something now that I'm into now, right? Sayori nods. Well, I guess I'm into nature. I love nature. Monica, I'm going to start a nature club. No, you're not. You're stuck here with me now. I am not. Oh, yeah? Well, I hereby appoint you as vice president of the literature club. There. Now you're stuck with me. Hey, don't give me responsibilities. Ugh, I love this. These three are adorable together. Oh, I'm sorry, Yuri. I interrupted you. Go ahead. It's fine. Yuri pauses, feeling awkward after having gotten cut off. I like going out into the woods or to the park. Just places where you can walk or sit and not have any people around. It's peaceful. Just nice to kind of remove myself from everything that matters and let my racing mind operate autonomously for a while. Ooh, this is making more and more sense. For her, the things that become like an overwhelming demand on her are like social stuff. Social interaction of any kind is kind of a big ask for her because there's limited experience of that being rewarding, and also the level of stress that it can bring makes it so that even when good things happen, there's not much of a reward returned at all. For Sayori, though, she's fine socializing. That's not a fatiguing thing for her as much. But what we know from Sayori is that even despite being like kind of a happy person and thinking happy things and loving happy stuff and basically just being like an orb of sunshine herself, she like doesn't feel happy sometimes and just like doesn't feel good about herself despite all those things and despite people telling her that they appreciate her and adore her. Well, I don't know if anyone's told her that they adore her. Maybe that's just my headcanon because I feel it. But same thing is happening, right? Like the mind is not being rewarded appropriately for those things. And so it kind of disincentivizes them in a weird way. When do you like to do that? It just depends on my mood. After school, on the weekends, whenever I feel like I need it. Wow, I feel like I would never have the time to do something like that. I find that we have a lot more time than we think we do, if we don't let it slip through our fingers. The three continue their conversation, led primarily by Sayori, but with Monica chiming in every now and then as well. Monica had intended to leave it to Sayori and focus on her work, but she found it difficult to not join in. Before they knew it, the end of the day was upon them once more. Oh, it looks like we should be wrapping up for today. So, are you two going to be starting on that book next club meeting? That's the plan. I'm so excited. Sayori beams. Yuri collects her things. Once packed, Yuri wordlessly waves to Sayori and Monica with a gentle smile. Bye! As Yuri exits, Sayori enthusiastically returns her farewell. This is a very healing thing for someone like Yuri, though, who, for social interaction to not feel so draining, it needs to feel at least equalizing, like not too much of an ask from her. And so the more that Sayori and Monica make it easy for her to socialize, to be herself and so many of the other things, the more it will actually feel natural to her. To the point that eventually this kind of social interaction actually becomes restorative, like it is going to the park for her. That's not something that's just not a deficit and not an equilibrium, but it's actually restorative for her. So their personalities and their welcoming nature are playing a big part of that. As Yuri exits, Sayori enthusiastically returns her farewell. Once again, Sayori and Monica are left in the clubroom. Sayori, you are a lifesaver. I didn't do anything. I just talked. Still. Besides, it really lifted my mood. It feels really nice when I can put my energy toward other people like that. She was really excited to be included, you know? It made me happy. Well, there's no doubt in my mind that she'll have a great time here with you engaging her. How are you feeling about starting the book with her next meeting? I'm kind of scared, but I think she'll be happy as long as I'm trying my best. I think you'll do great. After the surprise of a new club member, it seems like everyone has their spirits lifted with something new to look forward to. What a fantastic day. Another school day ends. Swallowing her anxiety, Yuri makes her way to the clubroom, expecting to be the last one to arrive. She opens the door. She's surprised to find only Sayori in the clubroom. It's club time again! Monica went to the computer lab, so it's just us today. Is that okay? Yuri silently nods, unable to make eye contact. I wonder if it's going to be easier for her because it's just one person, or if it's going to be harder for her because it's just one person. Or, regardless of how many people, is it going to be distressing because she had sort of prepared herself mentally for two people, and the expectation itself is a stressor. I'm sorry about yesterday. Sayori tilts her head, unsure of exactly what Yuri is talking about. Well, I mean, the way I got overly excited to share my books, and how you had to stop me so we could talk first, it was so inconsiderate of me. I got too excited. I forgot to think about everyone else in the club, so... Yuri, you didn't do anything wrong. I thought it was cute how excited you were. Well, still... I think I changed my mind about the book. We don't have to read it. Huh? Why? Because I know that you were just humoring me anyway. So it's not a full incapacity to interpret. She's definitely gone home and thought about this stuff, and she's arrived at an understanding. I think in part because of like the personalities. They were agreeable to her, welcoming, they didn't shut her down. She is coming away with a negative reflection about herself, though, about not being able to pick up on this at the moment. So kind of just seeming like maybe some mild neurodivergence with your basic package of anxiety and, you know, insecurity. And it comes as part of the standard model of being a young teenage girl. In retrospect, it's rather obvious that nobody was truly interested. Well, and this she missed. They are interested because it's something you're interested in, and they're interested about you. Like, it's a guarantee that everyone I interact with in therapy isn't going to be someone whose interests or even the things that they talk about are of like categorical interest to me, in the way that, you know, when I meet someone who also likes silly anime games about depressed people, right? Like, that's a shared interest. But I am interested in the person. I'm interested in their life. I'm interested in the dynamism of the things that they are interested in, even if I don't share them. And she might have missed that, actually. But if you like it so much, then it must be worth sharing. I've already decided I'll join the club, so you don't have to try so hard to entice me. That's not what I was doing. Yeah, It's so interesting, actually. Yeah. She's like played it back through and arrived to one conclusion, but it's led to several other misunderstandings, even one occurring right now, which is that Sayori's still trying to placate her, which she's not. And for Sayori, maybe not, because she's pretty agreeable to most things, but for a lot of people, this probably comes off as confrontational, where she's like, you know, you don't actually have to do that to me. And I don't think Yuri means to be. She's just being direct and quite literal. Yeah, I'm getting the vibe. A moment of uncomfortable silence stretches between the two of them. Silence. It's a great verb. Well, the thing is, we don't even have any club activities yet. I mean, Monica and I have just been working on recruitment stuff mostly. So it just sounded like something fun that we could do together. Reading your books. You know, like, as a club activity. That would be okay, right? Why am I being so resistant to this anyway? It's exactly what I wanted in the first place, and you're being so nice about it. I really don't know what's wrong with me. I'm sorry for being like this. Oh man, it's making so much sense. This is one of the biggest challenges that we run into when dealing with either depression or neurodivergence or anxiety, is the disconnect between the mind's understanding of the self and its lack of understanding about the brain and the body and how they influence the mind. There's so many things going on underneath the surface that have nothing to do with her personality or her intentions or values or behaviors. Well, they affect the behaviors, but not the ones she chooses. But she's falling into a very common, very natural trap, which is to say, like, if I can't get over this, or if I can't perform well at this, or if I can't understand this, I must just be stupid. I must just not get it. I must just be flawed. Well, no. I mean, there are aspects of potentially neurodivergence and a overactive part of the brain, this LHB, that are making it kind of hard to understand these things. And no intervention has happened yet to work on it, either psychiatric or therapeutic. And she's just assuming by default that she should sort of get this already, but it's not your fault, Yuri. And it's not your fault if you feel like her, or Sayori. What it comes down to is, once you learn of these things and you start to understand what repairing the natural function of a biological or a psychiatric element of the self looks like, then it becomes part of our responsibility to actively work on it and to pursue those things. But if you like literally don't know that it's happening or don't know that it exists, like, how could you blame yourself? Well, with no other answer, it's very easy to. I'm the one piloting this thing and I am not getting it, or I'm failing to pick up all these things, so I just must be at fault for it personally. And when I talk about this stuff, I know that there's occasionally a perspective that says, well, are you saying no one's at fault for anything because of like biological determinism? No. This is a conversation of predisposition. Like, if I have not eaten in several hours and I have no means to eat, like I'm busy or whatever, I'm going to be predisposed to certain behaviors. Irritability, distraction, all kinds of stuff that's going on up here and in here and everywhere else. And I'm responsible for those behaviors insofar as, like, I have to do something to address the underlying cause. Like, I should eat something. It's less that I don't have responsibility for it, but more I owe it to the underlying cause to address it. It's fair to say I'm at fault for lashing out to someone because I was hungry or angry. And it's also fair to just have a bit of nuance and to say, well, part of what explains that lashing out is that behavior became a lot more predictable because of an unaddressed physiological need. It just, we're not going to land in like a, you're either at fault or you're not, based on biologically determinable things or not. Like, it will take some nuance to wrestle with these ideas. Yuri is responsible for her actions, but to the degree she's making it out to be, like she's entirely at fault for being like this, like that breaks my heart, because that's what people come to therapy for, is they think like, I'm just broken, there's something wrong with me. And it's like, well, yeah, there's something wrong with your body when you're hungry. It needs food. If there's something wrong with a part of your mind because it's missing something, or there's an issue not being addressed, if there's something wrong, yeah, but there's not something wrong with like your persona, who you are in spirit. That's a whole other category of work. And so for me, these kinds of discussions about learning to empathize in a different way with when you see behaviors from people that seem difficult or pressured or like not normal or whatever. Forgive in part that there's probably an underlying thing that's not being addressed, and try not to accelerate to blaming someone fully for, behavior that's not helping them. There's just a lot more going on. You don't have to apologize. Just tell me if there's anything I can do to help you feel more comfortable here. Sayori pulls her desk up against Yuri's and sits next to her. The book in question is already on Yuri's desk. Peering over, Sayori reads the cover of the book. Dusk Bell. Part 1 of the Everlast Saga. It's Dusk Bell by Annabelle. Sorry, I'm ready now. Oh, right. I should probably get some paper. Yuri grabs a spiral notebook of hers and tears out a few sheets of paper. Wait, how come you need paper? Oh, it's useful to draw things out sometimes, like maps, timelines, family trees, or just for taking notes. Notes? Yes, that's an effective strategy. Exactly. I'm sure it will be especially helpful for someone new to the genre. Sayori's joke flew completely over Yuri's head. But thinking about it, she decides that it's probably for the best that it did. She was kind of emulating her speech as well. This is a very interesting exchange. Well, I'm not used to having company through this, but I'll try to help make it as accessible as possible. Ah, yes. Get your pens and papers out. We're making a lore Bible. I trust you. You're, super smart. Oh, please. Yuri tries to dismiss the compliment, but she can't hide her smile and light blush. You can't generalize intelligence. I'm only smart in the things I have a lot of experience with. Contrarily, I'm awful at anything involving real people. That should be evident enough from the 2 days I've spent here so far. So in my eyes, it's everyone else who comes off as smart. Especially you. Oh, I love the two of them together in a very different way than I love Monica and Sayori together. What a beautiful thing to say, and an insight into her character, that Sayori very easily identifies the kind of intelligence that is very detail-oriented. Yuri can assemble from a wide variety of complicated things an interest, and is not overwhelmed by the complexity of that. Like, the idea that this is big, long book and we gotta have papers and maps and all this stuff. Like, just remember what she said a moment ago about the cluttered room. It's such a difficult task for her to clean up a room full of all these things because of the complexity of that task. And wow, Yuri just has no issue with that. Meanwhile, it's the inverse in the social realm. Sayori instantly connects with everyone so easily. Just seems to get it, knows how to have fun, knows how to be happy, knows how to tell jokes. It's completely easy for her. And for Yuri, this is all the nuance of paralanguage and trying to understand what nonverbals are. And she took a whole day just to sort of play back a small exchange. And then she figured that part out, but got 2 other pieces of it wrong. These two are just such an enigma to each other because they are experts at the things that each other lack, and what good role models they can be for each other in that sense then. No. Sayori rubs her shoulder against Yuri's. You're such a sweetheart when you're not being shy. Anyway, would you like to get started? Okay. After the minor diversion between them, the two get back on track with their planned activity. Yuri begins to guide Sayori through the basics of the fantasy world her story takes place in. The more of it she details, the races, factions, history, elements of magic, the more questions Sayori seems to have. But despite Sayori's expectations, Yuri eloquently guides her through it in a way such that it's fun to follow along. It becomes evident that the world-building aspect of the story, not just the story itself, is one that Yuri finds her passion leaning towards. People come up with this stuff. It's like the exact opposite of the kind of writing that I do. What kind of writing? Oh, like poetry and stuff like that. The things I write are like just putting down the feelings that come to my head, you know? But this is like, there must be so much planning and hard work. Oh, you're into poetry? I think there's an appendix that includes some of the kingdom's written works, like poetry and folk songs. No way! Yuri giggles, filling Sayori's heart with happiness when she realizes it's the first time she's heard Yuri laugh. It means Yuri must be having fun. Anyway, I think we can get started reading now, if you're ready. Okay, but I can't read really fast. Oh, that's fine. I'm very patient. Patience is something I pride myself in. I see. Sayori jots, Yuri is patient, into her notes. Oh my god, that's so adorable. I love that she took a note on her new friend. Hey, that's for the book. I'm just kidding. But I'm kind of glad you're patient because I need that sometimes. A lot of times. Sayori flips to the first few pages of the book, getting past the table of contents. Okay, chapter 1. The room becomes silent as the two of them begin to read. But the silence only lasts for a moment before Sayori speaks up again. What does vindicated mean? Oh my gosh. Oh, bless her heart. Well, in this context, it essentially means that the person was proven innocent. It's okay to ask questions, right? Of course. Sayori turns the page. Are these footnotes? Oh, this poor girl. I love that she's doing this, though. She's just going for it. Sayori would never pick a book up like this and never try to engage in the insurmountable task of trying to comprehend something so outside her depth and interest. The fact that she is doing this at all is a huge strength on Yuri's part, because remember, this is a function of neurology that is like making it very hard for Sayori to engage in things that are more difficult than she feels she's capable of. But having someone like Yuri makes it more manageable. And that is actually how you start to repair and work on issues with the LHB, which is often involved in situations of depression or, potentially neurodivergent as well, is you're going for degrees of manageability at 1% at a time. Literally 1%, because the brain needs to learn what a reward is. Again, what it is like to feel that, how to contextualize the amount of effort that is needed to deserve that reward. This is literally inhibiting the dopamine and serotonin release that comes from accomplishing something. And usually the things that we need to accomplish are so stressful that we don't engage in it. And so going for 1 degree of manageability at a time starts to teach this part of the brain that we are capable and deserving of the results of putting effort into things. Now, Sayori is getting a lot more than 1% from this because it's quite a lot. But having a guide like Yuri who can explain this stuff, it is allowing her mind to experience these feelings of pleasure that she wouldn't otherwise. Like if Sayori was in this room alone and she just picked up this book, her brain would be so overloaded and she would not enjoy it at all. But she's enjoying the social aspect of this, and it's making the task a lot more manageable. And just the idea of asking questions, like she got a reward of understanding what vindicated means, which also brought her closer to Yuri. And Yuri also probably got some kind of degree of reward from that exchange as well, which is her interest was shared and it was reciprocated, and she got like a success, a social success. I said something and it made Sayori light up. And she's like the perfect person for this because she just radiates from any amount of positive feedback. So it is incredible that these two are together. I love it so much. A lot of the dialogue has cultural references that require explanation to be understood. The two continue reading. Yuri's relaxed expression remains unchanged. Meanwhile, Sayori's expression grows tense as she tries to make her way through the dense text. Up until now, their expressions have been reversed, with Sayori easily navigating social situations and Yuri struggling in them. But the tables have turned. Wait, are they talking about the past right now? Or the present? Oh, it's too much. Where? Right here. They're talking about the past. These paragraphs are describing a flashback that Barnes is having. But they didn't tell me that. It's implied from the context. Oof. So she understands the context here and implication, but not so much in the social realm. Sayori rubs her temples, literally, trying to soothe an overwhelmed mind. The two of them continue, with Sayori asking fewer questions. She begins to understand the value in the notes, as she finds herself referring to them somewhat often, and even adding to them. But her reduction in question comes not from her getting used to the reading, but rather from her fearing that she'll come across as stupid. At last, Sayori reaches the end of the chapter. That is why you go for 1 degree, 1% of manageability. And I truly mean, like, for someone deep in a depression or really struggling with any aspect of what we're talking about here, the homework I will give to someone is not like do 1% every day until the next session of whatever the task is. You know, if it's struggling to pick up clothes or, you know, whatever, like Sayori, I'm not going to say do 1% every day. I'm literally going to recommend 1% throughout the next week until the next session. And that's to help with consolidating what the effects of 1% are, because we can't really sort of expect that Sayori will self-manage doing 1%, consolidating what that feels like, and then doing another 1% and sort of like unsupervised in a sense. So I will literally ask them to do 1%, and then in the next week, consolidate that with them, right, in a therapeutic narrative. My feedback being the thing that helps this like LHB part recognize and understand the sense of reward from that. Now, it's very common, really the best part of this, that people often do more than 1% anyways. Like, they'll come back and say, look, I know you only told me to do 1%, but I actually did 5. I actually did 5%. And I'll say, wow, you did 5%? Really, I was only expecting 1. I knew that would be a big ask, but 5%, how did you do that? And some of you maybe think I'm being patronizing, but like, consider the scale of the work that I'm talking about here. Like, I'm talking about someone who cannot manage any aspect of their life, has critically low self-esteem, and I really am not trying to put more pressure on them psychologically or physiologically than they can handle. And they can handle more of it, but it's important that I only set the bar at 1% and then reward them with surprise and recognition and validation for going above that. And it's not feigning amazement at it. Like, 1% of manageability is very difficult given the context. And so I am actually amazed when someone does 5%. Like, I'm not tricking them with like, wow, you know, and really I knew all along, like, sometimes you don't get 1%, sometimes you get 5. But that part of the exchange is really important to help consolidate, right? Positive emotions help consolidate experiences, as can negative ones. And so when they come into the session and they are telling me that they went above and beyond something, which is something they never get to do in their life, I want to give them a positive recognition that I genuinely feel for them, because doing it is very difficult. Doing just what I asked is, and anything above that is excellent. So what you're seeing right now is like Sayori was willing to kind of start doing this, but it's really too much for her. Just like it is too much for Yuri to engage in too much social interaction before she's ready. I think we can stop here for now. Okay. Sayori takes a deep breath and closes what little of the book she's gotten through so far. So what are your thoughts up to this point? Sayori tries to find the words. Am I doing well so far? I'm not sure I understand. Well, I don't know. When it takes me so long to read and understand things, it makes me feel really dumb. But I really like how into it you get. It makes me want to keep going and to keep doing my best so I can see it the way that you do. The relaxation in Yuri's expression fades. I see. Yuri quietly gathers her things. We can continue tomorrow, right? Yuri pauses, then shakes her head. We can do something else tomorrow. So Yuri is having a negative experience. She is not gathering still that Sayori's enjoyment is coming from seeing Yuri happy, from engaging with her interest. Yuri is looking very on the surface at, she didn't like the thing, and she's just lying to me. She's just feigning interest because she also thinks I'm weird or whatever, right? And now she's consolidating that in a negative sense, which I'm starting to get why this side story is about understanding, because these are misunderstandings at different levels. But I'm sorry. Wait, sorry for what? I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't want to do this anymore. That's all. I'm sorry that I made you. Yuri leaves. You weren't making me. Sayori is left alone with her words. How did this happen? We were having fun just a second ago. Well, well, Sayori. The LHB is a part of the brain where just now I imagine explaining all of this to her and like she'd be rubbing her temples again. It's my fault. No, god damn it. This is the classic trap that they both are falling into now. I said something stupid and hurt her. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. There's more going on here. I should have just told her that I enjoyed it. I could have trusted me with this. No! No! Don't deconstruct the positive narrative and reconsolidate it with negative ones. That's the only thing I'm good at. And I still messed it up. If she doesn't want to come back. Drowned in guilt, Sayori stares blankly at her desk, spread with notes. The book sits next to them. Right. If she wasn't coming back, then she wouldn't have left the book here, right? Unless she just forgot to take it with her. This is horrible. Is it really because she thought I wasn't enjoying our time together? Or maybe she wasn't enjoying our time together because I'm not good enough. I probably let her down so much by having trouble following along. No, this is a blind spot for Sayori. Yuri assumes that the thing fell apart because Sayori's not interested in the book, and she's just feigning interest. Sayori is assuming that there is a social cause to this when it really has nothing to do with that for Yuri. Yeah, I'm sure if I was smarter, she'd be having so much more fun. I need to do better for her. Oh no. I think Sayori is gonna like take the book home and read like all of it or something and totally overburden herself in the way that we've seen her do before. Sayori's level of compensation is to, well, exactly like we saw, try to get way too deep into something she's not ready for because she assumes that if she can't, people will think less of her, or that that's where she gets her value from by living up to those things. And Yuri may now have some similar time as she had before to kind of reflect on things and give a more clear explanation for why she left. What I'd expect from Yuri is maybe to like go home and write a poem, trying out what Sayori is interested in as a more discreet way of showing her that she's not upset with Sayori. In fact, she's very impressed by her and her ability to do that. Like I could imagine her coming back and saying, oh, this was very difficult for me and it's so amazing that you can do it. And they'll each try what the other is kind of an expert at. Maybe, I don't know. Like I obviously haven't played it yet, but I think that would be a really interesting way to play that out. Well, friends, that's part 1 of the Yuri side story. Yuri and Sayori. Once again, I just so adore these side stories. They're actually quite deep in a very different way than the main game. I'd kind of worried, like, would they tread over too familiar grounds, or would revisiting these characters in this context not be worthwhile in some ways? But I feel like the additional context, well, it adds many more layers to their characters, of course, but it's also actually helping us branch into like new subjects we haven't discussed in other places. So I'm looking forward to continuing this little adventure into our feelings. But until then, I'm just going to remind you again that I'm proud of you. I hope you be good to yourself too. That's all from me this time. I'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone.